Welcome back to Cosmetics Business Live Premium Retail Stream. We've got a jam-packed lineup for you this afternoon with fantastic speakers and topics. So to get the ball rolling, I'd like to introduce Amy, and she's Head of Partnerships for influencer talent agency Gleam Future, on her talk, Influencers and Beauty and the New Normal. Welcome, Amy.
Thanks so much, Sarah. Thanks for having me. So just to kick off, as a quick introduction, so as Sarah said, I'm Amy, I'm the Head of Partnerships at Gleam Futures. We're an influencer marketing agency working with some of the biggest brands in the world. And we're also a talent management business where we represent some of the most influential digital first and entertainment talent in the UK and the US. So given the topic of this session, it might surprise you to hear me say that when it comes to influencers and beauty in the world we live in today, is that going to work? There is no normal. The last year has massively supercharged a shift that was already starting to happen in our culture. So as people and consumers, our values, behaviours, perspectives and priorities on the way we live have changed. And due to the physical limitations imposed upon us, nowhere did this play out more than on social media and within the online community, which became increasingly connected and thrived under adversity. So just to take a look at this shift, we have been living in an unprecedented time with a global pandemic, a recession, with job losses and consumer confidence being low, and also an important cultural movement in the form of Black Lives Matter. As a result, although it was absolutely already starting to happen, picture perfect ideals and unrealistic content from influencers was called out. Super polished feeds, tone deaf content and vapid sentiments felt very insensitive and jarring against the realities of the world. Brands too were held accountable for their actions, with those going in for the hard product sale and failing to address inequality or social injustice within their organisations being boycotted. As a result, the call for transparency, realness, honesty and a more human approach to content and marketing was heard loud and clear. So our realities over the last year have been that we have all stripped back to our sweats. We've gone barefaced on Zoom calls, we've done away with filters, and we've embraced our whole true selves. And this was massively led by the online community and the people we are inspired by, from friends to high-profile celebrities, who empowered and influenced us to embrace and celebrate the real, raw, unapologetic, and above all, authentic. As such, our skincare routines have taken a leap forward. I don't know about everyone else, but I've gone from 3 products by one brand to a branded cocktail of 10, not least and thanks to Caroline Hyren's skincare book, which was released in lockdown. All-out glam makeup has taken a backseat in favour of Zoom makeup. So for me, it's CC cream, a touch of concealer, mascara and some blush. And we've seen a growth in at-home beauty trends and treatments too. Also, virtual try-on tools for products such as foundations and hair colour have become really popular. So at home and virtual beauty has taken a massive leap forward. And more than ever, influencers took on the role of gatekeepers, almost acting as our beauty counter experts within department stores. So if you see department stores as the social media platforms where every brand is speaking to us as consumers, influencers use their skills and our trust in them to help with our purchasing decisions by recommending, advising and guiding us on products that we weren't able to try before buying. So the gap between influencers and their audience actually bridged closer during this time. With everyone in lockdown, those doing the influencing and those being influenced were actually living the same life. But not only that, and perhaps more importantly, the last year has started to platform the incredibly diverse world of influencers, dismantling the influencer stereotype. So from Black creators to drag artists to Gen Xers to plus size mums, diverse voices have been heard and celebrated, although there is still more work to do to drive this further, and beauty plays a crucial role within this. This movement has meant that the concept of beauty went far deeper than just products. Within the online community itself, beauty became about celebrating each other for important social and cultural values, for individualism, for authentic selves, for being transparent, honest, real, unashamed, and unapologetic. values-led influencers who have strong social, cultural and political values, who dismantle fake news, false realities and facades and drive impactful change in their industries, communities and the world in particular became more prominent. And whilst the rest of the media world stood still, with traditional photo and TV ad shoots put on hold, at-home influencers went on with their work and thrived. After years of creating high-quality content for their social media channels, with their own camera equipment, their own tripods and lighting, brands turned to influencers to act as their primary creatives, producers, editors, and distributors all in one. Equipped to adapt, this online community continued to mobilise audiences from within the comfort of their homes, their bedrooms, and their bathrooms. And with engagement and content that was real, raw, and honest reaching peak levels, brands relied heavily on influencers to maintain their presence and achieve their marketing objectives. So the reason that this industry has become so successful and grown so much over the last year is that the power of influencers lies in the emotional, relatable, human connection they have with their audience. Influencers are accessible and relatable, and therefore they have a unique ability to use the relationship with their audience to creatively and authentically drive impact for brands. And so brands have had to adapt their approach and content for other marketing channels too, using the same approach that influencers take to branded content, by stripping away the makeup artists, the hairstylists, and expensive shoots, and moving towards self-shot content in the style of social media. More traditional forms of advertising have become real, raw, and authentic, and perhaps for the first time actually been able to speak to people's realities and share real results. Again, bridging the gap between unattainable ideals portrayed by celebrities and consumers, with everyone living relatively similar lives. So the last year has therefore redefined the meaning of influencer. Not only has it elevated a deeper, values-led, transparent, honest, real, and unapologetic side, it has also brought more traditional celebrities into the influencer fold too. Which brings me to this very important point. The problem with the term influencer is that it labels has lumped everyone labelled an influencer into a homogenous mass of people. So the term influencer doesn't distinguish the actual talent. So those creators who have an expertise to share, produce high quality content, have a purpose in what they do, and maintain a deep connection and dialogue with their trusting community. Or the more traditional celebrities who've got years of experience and credibility within their particular field, from those who use the influence label as a means to define their status and have actually no real value beyond that. So when it comes to online content creators, we describe them as digital first talent who are influential because of the credibility, skill, knowledge, and values they bring, and that emotional, relatable human connection they have with their audience. So put simply, not every online content creator is an influencer. So what does this all mean for beauty and influence in the world we live in today? It means that to stay relevant, beauty and the marketing of brands and products in this space must be accessible, inclusive, without barriers, and values-led. Beauty must take a lead and debunk the idea of normal. And given the diversity of talent, both on and offline, talent partnerships can absolutely help achieve this. You only have to look at stats from Unilever's most recent report to see the demand for this from consumers. I'm sure you're all aware of this. But more than half of people think that the beauty and personal care industry can make people feel excluded. People want to see the beauty and personal care industry focusing more on making people feel better than just looking better. More than half of people say they now pay more attention to a company's stance on societal issues before buying products. And 7 in 10 people agree that using the word normal on product packaging and advertising has a negative impact. And for younger people, those aged 18 to 35, this rises to 8 in 10. So it's no wonder then that Unilever has removed normal from all beauty and personal care packaging and advertising to challenge narrow beauty ideals, help end discrimination and advocate for inclusivity. But they're not the only ones driving change. Glossier's Pinterest feed, ads and billboards normalise all body types. Hair care brand Aura is using employee advocates as real, relatable people for social UGC. Illamasqua for some time have used people of all ages in their ads. And most recently, Olay featured 3 women who wanted to see more people like themselves in their brand ads, not just models. And so let's take a look at a couple of campaigns with digital first talent too. So Grace Victory here is a voice on plus size Black representation in the media and advocates for, the normalisation of bodies of all sizes. So when Dove wanted to partner with talent on their No Digital Distortion campaign to show the beauty in diversity, Grace was the perfect choice. The campaign was all about driving conversation and creating dialogue around body image. So Grace asked her audience to let her know in the comments if manipulated ad imagery had affected them personally and if they'd like to see more brands put a stop to this. Of course, the resounding answer was yes, please do put a stop to this. And I just wanted to share some lovely comments which really bring this to life. This is why I love social media. Instead of being fed thin and white is right, I'm able to choose what I see. Honestly, you and many other women in the plus size community have helped my confidence so much. I'm forever grateful. Another one. Honestly, we need more of this. Working in an industry that is forced to portray an ideal body makes me so sick and angry. I love all my lumps and bumps, and I wish we got more real size models. Grace Victory, you're honestly my idol, and I love the realness you share. So in partnering with an accessible, inclusive digital first talent such as Grace, Dove were able to have an open dialogue with consumers who could relate to the topic, who they could build a relationship with and have an affinity with, and essentially gain their trust and loyalty. And here's another one. So Estrid are a D2C razor brand, which is challenging norms around shaving. So from the price difference on shaving products for women versus men, otherwise known as the pink tax, to hair removal being a choice, they've made huge waves over the last year through their partnerships with digital first talent who are values-led or who are in the lifestyle space and who really support the brand's ethos. Lily Pebbles is one such talent who has worked with them a number of times and creates content for her Instagram around the brand and the products. And she really achieved strong impressions and engagement since the campaign itself is so well aligned with her values as a woman. So Estrid as a brand have made impact from aligning themselves with talent who can share with their engaged audience how accessible, inclusive and values-led they are as a brand. And they've landed at the perfect time when our values, behaviours, perspectives and priorities of a culture have changed and have not been shy about kind of removing themselves from the concept of normal. And the talent that they have worked with and the audience that follow them have absolutely loved this stance. So it's worked really well. So as we come out of lockdown, how do beauty brands adapt once again and stay ahead of the game? I believe that the key is in utilising the emotional human connections that have been built and amplified over the last year between digital first talent and their audience. They have been the gatekeepers between your brand and products and consumer interest, purchase and loyalty. And that consumer habit and behaviour isn't going to change overnight. It will evolve, and so should your marketing. So don't abandon these emotional human connections as the world opens up. Consumers need and value them. And here are some thought starters on how best to do this. So historically, when you want to buy a product, you go into a store to try it out, and that's not been possible over the last year. Virtual try-ons have definitely helped. I bought a CC cream and it found me exactly the right shade, but it's not necessarily the full solution. So I've also turned to employee advocates. For example, Zara here is a professional MUA at Bobbi Brown and has a strong presence on social media. And I've turned to her for advice and guidance on what to buy. And when they launched their new eye cream, I bought it immediately because I trusted her endorsement and the way that she showed the product was perfect and I knew it would work. So influence, therefore, exists at every level. It's not just high-profile talent or celebrities. Employer advocates bring authenticity to the brand. They make it feel more human and more relatable. They're credible, so consumers trust them. They're also able to easily adopt the brand story and value. So while showcasing the best use of products, they can really do this. And to really make this work, you actually do need to provide them with some guidelines, some content inspiration, some best practice, and an idea on how to disclose marketing content, because they're not experts and they will need that guidance. And you could also consider an affiliate scheme to incentivize them to post as well. And then, if this wasn't obvious already, people want to see that a real person in a real bathroom can utilize a product and what the before and after results for this person will look like. Therefore, it's really important to ensure that all talent marketing campaigns are accessible, diverse, and inclusive. So as discussed, beauty is for everyone. There is no normal. Identity isn't single-minded, it's become hybridized. So consumers are more receptive to and eager to receive combined messaging from brands. So mashing up unexpected brands, personalities and cultures, spontaneous collaborations between talent with different skills provides a freshly generated perspective. Remember, consumers are increasingly voting with their money, so partner with talent who share your values as a brand. Focus on resonance over reach, use real people, and engage in values that matter to all, and take a stand. If you utilize those emotional human connections to have an open dialogue with consumers, you'll build your relationship with them. And if their reach isn't big enough, just put paid media behind it and boost that content. Audience are engaging more positively with content that is real, raw, and personal, and that speaks to their everyday realities, content that is relevant to them. They want to feel inspired, of course, but they don't want to feel that aspirations are unattainable. So truly collaborating with talent on creating relatable, authentic content and putting them in the driving seat is key to achieving strong engagement. And when it comes to the realities of people's lives, also think about the fact that very few people use products from one brand only. So my skincare cupboard, which is massive, has got everything from The Ordinary to Kate Somerville to Smart Skin, which is a brand founded by one of our talent. And my makeup bag is even worse, so I won't even go there. But the point is, don't be afraid of your brand featuring alongside other competitors or even collaborating together. Encourage the talent you work with to show how they can cocktail up their skincare routines or makeup looks, because that's the reality of the routines of the people they are speaking to. So here are some examples of some real, raw, honest content. So bearing in mind that the average engagement on social posts is about 3%, these massively exceed that. The first example is the Anna edit. So she created an everyday makeup tutorial that was really close up using natural lighting. So rather than the polished looks you see with ring lights, Anna wanted to show her audience exactly what the products look like on the skin. One of my favorite comments from this video is, honestly, I think I could have saved a load of money if I really understood how makeup is really meant to look with normal texture and normal lighting. Instead of buying things and getting upset that I didn't look as flawless as an influencer with a whole lighting setup. It sounds really obvious, but it's easy to get sucked into that mindset. Another example, so Gen Z are massively leading the way in real and raw content. So the example on the left is Lewis Ball and Olivia Neal, not a beauty post as such, but they can get anywhere between 12 to 50% engagement, which is ludicrous. Both describe their channels as a hot mess. They talk fast, they skip from one thing to the next. They're honest and raw, and their audience absolutely love them for it. So don't feel like content has to be super polished on a talent's feed, just be in keeping with their usual style. And then the far one on the right is actually an older post from Grace Victory, who I mentioned earlier, on normalizing periods and bleeding. So moving away from the glossy images we normally see on social media, Grace received a huge amount of positivity on this post, as well as widespread news coverage, which highlighted its importance. Therefore, there is a growing increase in taboo subjects being talked about on social media, and it presents a real opportunity for brands to engage in normalizing traditionally controversial topics. And this sort of content is exactly what audiences want to see now, and it's shown in those amazing engagement levels. And I mentioned before about not abandoning the emotional human connections that have been built over the last year, because they are really important. So if you take these gatekeepers, the talent, and their established emotional human connections and have them transcend across all marketing channels and consumer touch points. So from the shop floor to products that are licensed with the talent's name, to point of sale, to social media, to games, to TV and billboards. There are so many options. Consumers want to see themselves looking back at them. They want to see consistent faces and voices they trust and who reflect their identities, their lives and their realities. This will become particularly important, I think, for the beauty categories that have suffered over the last year. So again, don't know about you, but I've completely forgotten how to put on eyeshadow, and we'll be looking to the gatekeepers for advice and guidance on new products, but also how to use them. And when it comes to purchasing, I want to see that same gatekeeper looking back at me as I click or buy at the till, hopefully. And ultimately, brands must adapt by deepening their relationship with consumers through those emotional human connections that are authentic, relatable, consistent, and transcend multiple marketing channels to drive true impact. And talent are absolutely the way to do this. So whether you're working with employee advocates who then create social media content, which is then boosted with paid media to a target demographic and perhaps then used in press advertorials online, or you're partnering with a talent on a product edit with their well-known face on point of sale and outdoor ads, or even sponsoring a talent's podcast which aligns with your brand's values, accompanied by some social media content on their channels to amplify the message. The options to align your brand with relatable, familiar faces who have real human connections, share your values, is endless. So put talent at the heart of your campaigns and utilise the power of talent that has become even stronger over the last year. Whoops. Ended way too soon. So remember, when it comes to beauty and influence in the world we live in now, there is no normal. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. That was a fantastic introduction and insight into the landscape of influencer marketing right now, and particularly the authentic and importance of raw content. We have had some questions come in, which I'd love to go over with you.
Right.
The first one is, obviously there are so many influencers right now. What tips can you give brands to identify the right kind of influencer for them to work with?
Yeah, it's a really good question. The amount of influence and content creators that are out there now is ludicrous in comparison to even 6 years ago when I first started in the industry. So there are a number of tools that you can use in the first instance to plug in certain demographics. So if you are looking to target 18 to 24-year-olds within a certain location who have an interest in beauty, for example, then you can use those tools to identify creators who have that audience demographic. That's a good place to start. But what you need, as well as that data, is that added human insight. You want to make sure that the creators that you're working with are brand safe, that they have values that align with yours, that they create the sort of content that you want to be aligned with, that their messaging will be aligned with yours. And so there is that added value of human insight as well. You can obviously do that yourself or come to talent agencies like us. There are lots of talent agencies now who can provide you with the talent from their roster that would be a good fit for your campaign and brief. So all you really need to do is give them a call, send them an email, the details of the campaign, and they'll come back to you with the talent that fit. And you'll be pretty kind of safe in the knowledge that they're only working with talent who are brand safe. So that kind of removes that element for you as well.
Just for everyone listening, can you just define what brand safe means?
Yes, yeah. So the industry being the way it is, and the fact that anyone can post content online, there is no filter almost on what people can post. And so it might be that a particular talent has been caught up in some sort of controversy before. Maybe they've broken lockdown rules and it's been all over the press. Whatever it might be, you want to make sure that that isn't going to damage your reputation as a brand. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is just making sure that they haven't done anything too risky in the past, which will not align with yourself as a brand and your values.
And just out of curiosity, if you've partnered with an influencer who seem brand safe and then something happens in the future, what would you advise then? For the brand?
It depends what the time frame is. I mean, it does happen. So if you're currently working with them and something happens during that time frame, and it's happening a lot at the moment, particularly in the US, always have a conversation with either the talent or their managers first to assess what the actual situation is, and whether there's any truth in the matter. And if there is, then there should be a contract in place which allows you to pull out of the partnership. So always make sure that there are clauses in there which say that if that partnership is potentially damaging to your reputation as a brand because of something that the talent has done, then you have the right to pull out. And there'll be a clause in there that's vice versa as well. So if the brand if the brand comes in to disrepute, then the talent can also pull out as well. And that just means that it's kind of safe on both sides. But it's always a conversation, so don't ever sort of panic or worry, really, because if you're working with talent who are represented, then they'll have kind of processes in place.
Okay, brilliant. We've got a question that's come in from Emmanuel, so thank you, Emmanuel. And they've asked, what is the best way of compensating talents that sell your products?
Such a good question. So there are a number of different ways. So you can work with them on a paid partnership whereby you pay them a fee for a set amount of agreed content that they post on their channels. And you can give them a brief and they will respond to that brief. You'll collaborate on the content and they'll post it across their channels. So that's kind of the most basic way. But for talent who are really strong converters, so really do sell your product, you could look at guaranteed content with a fee, but then to incentivize them further, you could also look at providing them with a commission on any sales that they drive or any clicks that they drive. And you can use affiliate schemes like with for that, such as Reward Style or Awin. There's lots of those available. But I would recommend that if you know the talent you're working with are high converters, that you do add in that level of commission, because it actually can be very lucrative from both sides, because it does incentivize the talent even more.
Absolutely. And for perhaps a small or new brand that's starting out and with a pretty small budget, where would you advise for them to get started?
So initially I would start by gifting some talent. So, but be really selective. Don't send out products far and wide, and really think about who you want to build a relationship with, and form a really direct approach. So no kind of automated emails or anything like that, but a really direct approach where you really want to, which shows that you really want to build a relationship with that particular talent, and offer to gift them products. And start the relationship that way. And then once you start to see conversion, sales off the back of that strategy, then I think would be time to start kind of putting paid into it. But talent are very open to gifting in order to start the relationship if they haven't worked with the brand before.
Yeah, especially if I guess it meets both of their values as well.
Definitely. Yeah, and actually as those kind of gatekeepers that I mentioned before, they want to bring kind of new products and new brands to their audience. So in the same way that a magazine would do the same thing, it's exactly the same for talent.
Absolutely. I've just got a question. So could you clarify what are affiliate links?
Yeah, of course. So affiliate links are essentially trackable URLs. So if you think about when a talent posts an Instagram story of some eyeshadow that they've put on, they will put a swipe up link on that Instagram story. That swipe up link will quite often be a trackable URL. And once the audience click through, it will track that click, but it will also track if that particular person has bought a product off the back of that specific link posted by that specific content creator or talent, which means that the cookies that are online will be able to tell you as a brand how many sales that particular content creator has driven. So it's really useful in terms of, actually, even when we're talking about gifting, having an affiliate partnership through gifting is really useful as well, because it means you can go, well, I know that the value I'm providing through these free products to this talent is converting, so they're the person that I'm going to put my marketing spend into.
Oh, so it's a good people for also to get started as well.
Definitely, yeah.
At the end, you spoke about opportunities a bit offline and licensing, things like that. So that kind of ties into this question from Jo. She says, you mentioned brands shouldn't be afraid to collaborate and be seen alongside others. Do you think this represents an opportunity that more brands could explore?
Yeah, definitely. And it's something that we've been doing a bit with some of our talent, and it's still new territory. So I think brands are a bit nervous about it. But we recently did a partnership with one creator who created a YouTube video. I think it was at Christmas actually, but that seems like yesterday. And it was 3 different brand partnerships within one video. and I'm pretty sure it was a kind of Christmas look using those 3 different brands. And all of the brands kind of, we pitched it to them, they all bought into it, and were excited by it. And actually it drove really high engagement and really good results for the brands, because like I said before, very rarely do you sit and do a full face with just one brand. You will cocktail up your looks and use different products from different brands. So the fact that it was kind of speaking to the realities of the people that were watching kind of made it perform better. And I think as well, if you works particularly well, obviously, if it is brands within the same umbrella. So if it's a L'Oreal or Estee Lauder, then a bit easier. But I definitely think it's something that brands should be more open to. And the other option as well is we recently and are currently still doing a partnership with a talent called Nadine, who is working with Superdrug on beauty boxes. And there are loads of kind of beauty box partnerships with talent out there. But they're really great because within that box, she's selected 5 or 6 products that are her favourite for a particular skincare routine from Superdrug. So obviously it's a retailer, but the box itself has lots of different brands within it. So that's also an option too.
Yeah, and that's Nadine Baggett.
Yes.
I've seen those launches. Very cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's actually all we've got time for today. I can't believe how quickly it's gone. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise. It's been, well, as you've seen from the engagement, it's been great. So thank you very much.
Of course, thanks for having me. And if anyone has any questions, you can just find me on LinkedIn and I'm happy to answer.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thanks, Sarah. Bye.